So we have the Dallas Cowboys going to Tennessee to take on the Titans. The line is 11. The total is 40. The line is in favor of the Cowboys, obviously. The big thing to know here is the Titans essentially have to beat the Jaguars in week 18 to win the AFC South. So they essentially could treat this game like a preseason game. You might see them rest people here, and that's why this line is starting to balloon. So by the time you listen to this, we might have more clarity. But as of now, it looks like it's a good possibility that the Titans kind of take this game lightly and gear up for week 18. So with that in mind, how do you kind of approach this game?
Yeah, it's not there. There is actually one path where the Titans could get a wild card, but it would involve them winning this week and then them tying next week. And obviously a lot of other things would have to happen, but there is like a 0.5% chance that we could have the situation in week 18 where the Jags and Titans, if they tie, they both get in, but it's so far beyond their own possibilities. And you're playing a superior opponent and you are dealing with a ton of injuries on a short week. So the Titans are just all in on next week's game, which will decide the division. The Jaguars, who we'll get to, they have a slightly better chance at a wild card, I think around 8 to 10%. So you might see them try a little more, but we do have more clarity on who the Titans will and won't play. Danico Autry, doubtful. Just the injury report just came out. Dylan Calder, linebacker. Zach Cunningham, Bud Dupree, all out. Christian Fulton, doubtful. Derrick Henry, doubtful. Amani Hooker, out. Petit Ferrer, out. Tannehill, out. Jeffrey Simmons, out. They are resting, 10 starters? So, yeah, they don't need this game, and the Cowboys could still win the division. The Cowboys have incentive to win. The Cowboys secondary is a mess right now, but that's not something Malik Willis is going to take advantage of, especially with a beat-up offensive line against his pass rush. Malik Willis, negative 0.42 EPA per play. That's 162nd out of 162 quarterbacks with at least 100 snaps since 2010. So, yes, from an EPA perspective, he's been the worst quarterback in the NFL. That includes Zach Wilson. The second worst, actually, over that time is Nathan Peterman at negative 0.359. Dak should take advantage of a beat-up Tennessee secondary and pass defense that is just reeling. Dak's usually good in these spots against inferior opponents. I don't know if I could lay 11. Titans, by the way, are just on a complete downfall. I think they haven't covered 5 in a row. Good money line parlay piece, in my opinion. I used it to pair with the Packers, which we'll talk about later. Don't even mind the under. I mean, the Titans, this is just like an exhibition game for them. So, yeah, it means nothing. This is just stay healthy, rest everyone, and get ready for the trip to Jacksonville, which will decide the division next week. And the good news is, if the Titans do indeed just lose this game as they're expected to do, their win total under cashes for me, which I thought had zero chance about 6 or 7 weeks ago. So yeah, it's I don't know if I can't lay 12 now, but I think the Cowboys are a good money line parlay piece, which means, by the way, my money line parlays the last 3 weeks that I've used, these big money line parlays, they've all either gone to overtime or come down to the wire. So maybe the Titans are the play, but yeah, this game's a mess.
Yeah, the under actually, I mean, because it keeps getting lower and lower, and you kind of read off that injury report, and there are a bunch of defensive players on that report as well, and so I kind of worry about that just because we've seen the Cowboys put up some big numbers, especially in spots where the other team is not really going full in. Like I think it was the Eagles, they put up like 50 something. I remember them putting up 50 something on Washington late in the year. Yeah. So, the under actually could get dicey, especially if you get, a turnover or two from Malik Willis, deep in his own territory. And you don't have Derrick Henry here to move the sticks. So, I mean, the Titans could just be backed up and, punting from their 5 yard. I mean, I know their punter is pretty decent, but the under actually scares me just because it keeps, it's under the key number of 41 now.
Yeah,
But
plus
yeah, I
they
agree.
yeah, I didn't it sound like 40 now. Yeah, I wouldn't go
Yeah.
that low. If I was gonna bet the under, I would look Tennessee team total under, if anything. But this game is yeah, this is one that you can say, hey, I'm gonna easily pass. There's bowl games on, other stuff going on. Plus the winds are gonna die down. It's gonna be like 10 to 20 miles over the day, but it looks like it's gonna die down at night. But it's hard for me to see Tennessee without Derrick Henry and with the beat up offensive line of Malik Willis, who's been so bad, actually, putting up any fight here offensively. But you're right, Dallas could put up a crooked number here, and Tennessee really wouldn't care.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, because from a trends perspective, if Tennessee does indeed fail to cover the number, this would only be the ninth time in 31 games that a Mike Vrabel coach team would have failed to cover a spread of an underdog by a field goal or more. So pretty interesting, but yeah, this
Yeah, there's
Titans
like
team.
there's a lot of trends here with like the amount of games that Tennessee hasn't covered and
Mhm.
blah blah, like double digit home dogs late in the season in prime time. But like Tennessee doesn't care. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you're really just guessing at a lot of this. It's not like you have a motivated Tennessee team. This is an ugly game.
And we like to talk about these trends, even if they're 60, 70%, they're still, 30, 40% of the time where they lose. And this is the kind of game that they probably lose because it's hard to filter for lack of motivation,
Yep.
as good as Bet Labs is, there's no real trend for that. Just kind of, you have to kind of know and kind of single these instances out. So yeah, stay away from me as well. But I agree. I think you could get some Cowboys money line going here, parlay it with something else.